Welcome to another episode of BHP Book Club. I am your host, Kelly Morgan. Today I'm speaking with veteran author Aurea Franklin. She has her debut novel called Silent Freedom. It's really a memoir about her time spent as a woman in the war in Iraq. She's a soldier, she's a mother, and she shares her story and her journey. It is quite inspirational. I cannot wait for you to meet her. So why wait? Let's get right to it. Welcome to the podcast, veteran, author, two-time Bronze Star Medal recipient, Aurea Franklin. Aurea, thank you so much for being the newest member to the book club and coming on the podcast. How are you?
I am fine, Kelly. Thank you so much.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thank God and I thank you for giving me this honor to talk on your show tonight.
Oh, well, you are very welcome. I am excited to speak with you and learn about your book, Silent Freedom, and your journey and everything. So let's just get started. So I always like to find out from authors like how they became an author. So how did this book, Silent Freedom, go from a thought to a book?
Sure. But first of all, I would also like to express my thanks to everyone responsible for this possibility. How did this book come into fruition? Well, I recall my mother writing her journal on how she met my father, and I believe it's congenital. And then I started getting interested in writing a book. And I used to fear it when I was alone. And now I have learned to live with it and use it instead of to face my fears. And then I wrote about my service while I was with the 101st Airborne Division in assault in Iraq. There were silent moments there, so I thought I should face my fears, write my experiences and share with others the miracles, what soldiers have been through during the war. And I'm very proud of them as they transform into brave men and women, especially the young ones. And
Wow. Well, no, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your service. So I'm interested, this book, Silent Freedom, it's about your time during the war, but what is the book about? Kind of give us some insight to tell us what's in the book.
What's in the book? There are 4 parts in the book. Basically, it's about my service, my love, my loss, and the war. And I was in the process of my divorce from my former husband, my loved one, for 20 years, and leaving a young son behind and go to war because I was a soldier and I can't say no. And this war is all about from a woman and from a mother's point of view. I found that it was very hard for a woman like me to hitch a ride during the war. It happened because, I was separated from my unit because I had a major role in reporting the casualties. I was attached to a big hospital, and my unit proceeded to the northern Iraq while I was left behind and performed this critical duty. And when the mission was completed, I called my commanding officer and he advised me to either redeploy with the hospital or stay. And so I started asking there are several units who were deploying to northern Iraq, several of them, and then they did not take me. It was difficult for me, so I was distressed, very discouraged, and I ended up going back to my tent crying, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed so hard. I held into my faith, and you know what, Kelly? My miracles happened all at the same time. One day, I didn't know that God sent Michael, the archangel, to save me. He showed up in the disguise of an aviator, and he stopped by and said, "I am here to pick up a litter patient." And my fellow soldier and I, who were on duty that day, looked at each other and said, "We very well know that there were no patients to be picked up on that day." But my silent freedom was screaming at the helm and said, "But I'm willing to become your passenger." And so I do remember he took his helmet off and his sunglasses and said, "Okay, pack up your things and I will meet you at the helipad." And so that was the joy of I was very happy, a joy of my heart. And I ran to my tent and packed my things up. I shoved everything in my duffel bags and trash bags. And then I said, I need a gator, which just like a golf cart. And I put everything in there because if I don't have a gator, I would make it in 20 minutes to the helipad and I will miss St. Michael. So I did. And you know what? A soldier with a gator showed up and helped me with my things. And then he drove me to the helipad and we made it in 20 minutes. I found St. Michael there waiting for me, and he gave me a ride in his Black Hawk to Baghdad, which was en route to Mosul, to the northern Iraq, or city of Mosul. The city of Mosul, that's where my unit was. And Mosul was the final resting place of Jonah, and this became a hotbed during the war. And then my book, and then so my second miracle was that I saw the first soldier with the 101st combat patch in his arm, and I cried so much, and then so many things happening at the same time. And then he added me to the list, taking me in a Chinook, which was about to pick up a tank engine and en route to northern Iraq. So in short, I landed in Mosul, where my unit is, and to rejoin them there. And then I found everybody wearing 101st combat patch, and I told myself, I'm home. I asked for my commander, and he was upstairs in the headquarters briefing. And then when he saw me, he was very surprised. And he told me that, wow, it was difficult to get here. I know it will take a miracle. And I told him that's exactly what happened. My book has 4 parts. The first part is Destination Mosul. The second part is the destination Tikrit. The third part is when I went back there as a civilian contractor. And the fourth part consists of when I redeployed back to the United States. And it's all about the soldiers.
So when you joined the Army, did you know that you were going to war?
No, Kelly, I did not have any idea. When I joined the Army in 1984 in Honolulu, Hawaii, there was no war going on. And then the war caught up with me on my last years in the military. I never thought I will go to war, although I'll be the first one to volunteer to go to war to help with the mission. And I had that strong feeling I wanted to.
Wow. So would you say that, being a woman in the military is difficult?
At war, it's difficult. And, a prime example was that I cannot hitch a ride. It's hard to hitch a ride to go to rejoin my unit because I'm a woman. I know at that time it was difficult. I know some men didn't have a hard time catching a ride with these units. So I know it was difficult. Plus, I'm a mother, have a young child who was left behind. And I called him, and every time I talk to him, I can't just control my tears. And I'm making up to him right now.
That's even more difficult being a parent, being in the military, and then also being at war. How did you cope?
Kelly, that's a good question. And thank you for that question. I held on to my faith. I have my Bible with me and I read it every day. And I believe that's how I survive the difficulties. And I also prayed for my fellow soldiers because of these killings everywhere. I don't know why. We think we were doing the right thing. They think that they were doing the right thing. And so we are at war. We can just get along. And the war complicated our families. Like my son, I left him at a very young age, and I befriended with God, and whatever happens to me, I ask him to take care of my son. And before we deployed, we were asked by our units to write a letter to our families just in case we won't make it back alive. And that's what took place.
Wow. Sounds like a lot. So, being a soldier, I know that you've I know that you've received medals for your service, which, is phenomenal. Was writing the book, was that like therapy for you? Did that help you be able to write out all the emotions that you had while you were at war?
Thank you for that question. Yes, writing the book helped me express all what I was feeling inside. I have witnessed lots of casualties. Writing the book helped me remember what my fellow soldiers went through. It was difficult to remember the battalion commander or a battalion commander and his soldiers who were ambushed, and the command sergeant major who was killed by the Iraqi teenagers and who threw a rock on their windshield and they slit their throats. It's hard to remember the young private who stepped on a landmine and died, the warriors who died from helicopter crashes, hit by rocket-propelled grenades, the soldiers who were hit by another RPG all while they were talking or taking a break from work, the soldiers who were wounded when a foreigner drove a truck through them, the soldiers who were killed when a soldier threw a grenade in their tents, and the non-combatant soldiers because of the hardships at war. It is an indelible experience to remember watching the planes hitting the Twin Towers, people jumping from the buildings and the billowing smoke coming out of the buildings. How could we forget that? My silent freedom called me to serve my country in multiple deployments, and to protect the people. And it took me to the war zone. Writing this book helped release my pains. And now that it's written, although it's hard to remember all these deaths, my friends were killed in Iraq. But you know what? It's good to release this pain, and so it's here in my book.
Yeah, I think writing is definitely therapeutic. I think when you witness a lot of trauma, sometimes writing is a really good way to try to work through those emotions, what you're feeling, so that you can move forward. Because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to be stuck there.
Yes.
So I think writing's a great way to do it. So now that you've gotten this book out, what are you looking to maybe write another book? Do you think maybe you've caught the writing bug?
Kelly, you're awesome. How do you read my mind? There is a second book, and there's another book, and there's another book. I'm in the process of completing this book. I made it a novel, but it's actually, there's some truth to it. And you would love it, Kelly. It's something about what's going on in our country right now. It's not about politics, but it's more than that. I cannot give you right now. I cannot give it you any hint right now, but you will know when it comes out.
Can you tell us the title?
Should I?
I mean, can you share it with us? You don't have to if you don't feel comfortable. I'm just wondering, can you share the title with us, or are you going to wait?
Should I wait, Kelly, please?
I don't know. Yeah, you should wait.
Okay.
You should wait.
Okay.
Don't tell us. You should wait.
But you would love it, Kelly. I promise you. It's another patriotic book.
So you said you had another book and another book. So are you working on two books?
I am working on multiple books, God willing. I'm on the heat of writing books right now.
So you've caught the writing bug, and you can call yourself an author. You've got one book under your belt. You're working on several. How did you go about getting the first book, Silent Freedom? How did you get that book published?
That's a good question. Thank you. It was very challenging. At first, I have to find an editor and what the process is. I'm a newbie in this game, and I need some help. So somebody, Dr. Williams, from my work, suggested that I go to lulu.com because they help her publish her book. So this book is self-imprint book, meaning to say that it's published under Aurea Press, and that's my name, Aurea, and then Press. And but it is printed by a large company such as the lulu.com, and then it's globally distributed to different distribution platforms, major retailers such as Ingram Sparks, Amazon, Brands are Nobles, Kobo, and it's all out there right now. People can search it on the internet, and they're all over. It's all over, and then actually it's globally distributed. It has an expanded distribution, and so that's it. I self-publish it, but a large publishing company prints it for me. And what's best thing about this is that it's print on demand. I don't have any inventories. If somebody orders from me with my signature on it, then I can have it printed on demand. And I thought that's great.
Yeah, I would agree. So I think the big mystery that most authors have once they get the book and they get it published is, how do they market it? So how have you been marketing your book?
I'll tell you the secret. Sometimes, it will take a good marketing strategy, marketing company to help market the book. And it doesn't come easily. It comes with something. If you have money, everything, is possible. I mean, if you have the marketing company is not cheap, but
Yes.
they help. Yeah, they're not. They help a lot in making your book with fully visualized.
And getting it out there in front of people, that's the big question mark I think that most authors have. And you're right, marketing companies that are out there that help you market, they don't come cheap. You can do it on your own, but then how valuable is your time, and how much time and how far is your reach, right? So how are you going to reach that audience? And I would imagine with your book, I would imagine that it is probably big among your fellow soldiers and veterans, and that they probably love reading stuff like this. It sounds like the book is more inspirational, how you kind of made it through the war.
You're right, Kelly. Hopefully, I'll inspire people, veterans out there. They have good stories to tell.
Yeah, I love it when vets share their story, and sharing your story is another way to help you cope and express yourself. And so I think everybody has a story. Not everybody has it in them to write it and share it with the world, but everybody has a story.
That's true. And I thank Technica Editorial for this possibility. They really helped me a lot.
Fantastic. So I expect you to come back and visit with us when you get that next book out there. Don't save the title so that we'll have something to anticipate. I want to hear all about it. When do you hope it will be out?
Probably March, Kelly.
That is not that far away. I cannot wait until you come back. So please come back and share the next book with us. I enjoyed speaking with you, Aurea. Thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing your journey. Thank you so much.
It's a great honor, Kelly. God bless.
Thank you for listening to another episode of BHP Book Club. I am your host, Kelly Morgan. I just wrapped up with author, vet, Aurea Franklin, and her book, Silent Freedom. She's working on another book, so I can't wait for her to come back. Silent Freedom is available wherever books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Go grab a copy. It sounds like a wonderful memoir. If you are an author and you would like to promote your book on the podcast and become the newest member of the book club, I say this every time, it couldn't be more simple. Just go to my website, brightheadedpublishing.com. Go to the contact section, drop me a line. I'll get back with you. We'll connect. And the next thing you know, you're on the podcast promoting your book. Also, when you go to the website, did you know that you can listen to past episodes and check out all my social media links? I want to thank everyone who listens to the podcast. I know there's a bajillion podcasts out there, so thank you so much for choosing this one to spend your time with. I appreciate you. I really do. Next week, I'll bring you another author, their journey, their book. But until then, keep writing.